To be convinced that everything's great, and if there's any changes that are needed, that we can vote to change them. The other is that the public is calling for this.
And welcome back to Square Off. New Maricopa County Supervisor Debbie Lesko has pushed for an elections audit since taking office last month. Now it's going to happen. Worth noting that when she was in Congress, Lesko voted to reject Arizona's 2020 presidential election results. So should voters and taxpayers trust that whatever this audit turns out to be is fair and reasonable? And why is it even needed? Joining us now to explain what this audit's all about, Jen Fifield, elections reporter for the nonprofit votebeat.org and a hardened veteran of Arizona Republicans' audit fiasco of the 2020 elections. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks for having me on.
Do you get that same kind of trigger reaction when you hear audit that I do?
We're not allowed to call this an audit, though. This is a comprehensive review. They've told me multiple times, I'm not calling this an audit. That does give people a little bit of a flashback, and they don't want it to be considered that type of audit. We're not looking at past results here.
Okay, good to know. But it's funny how Republicans never talk about that 2021 audit anymore. I don't know why. So walk me away from the ledge. What does this audit that I can't call an audit purport to do?
So it's two parts. One is looking at all the technology used to run elections, like voting machines and tabulators. The other thing is looking at a comprehensive review of everything that you do to run an election process-wise. So everything that you do to set up polling locations, everything you do to, make sure that the voters can vote efficiently.
So you know this system as well as anybody. What would you advise they take a close look at?
I mean, I think that we've already looked at all of our systems. I think that we have an elections director who's been here through the audit, who took after that any recommendations that were sensible, that he could approve the system. I think we've already done this before. So if we want to do it again, I think it's mostly convincing the people who are still not convinced that our elections are fair. I think that's what this is about.
That's what this, and we have to spend $500,000 to do that. And no matter what this is found, those questions still won't end.
Maybe, and I do want to separate this a little bit. It should be an independent, they want someone who's an expert on running elections to do this, so it won't be another Cyber Ninjas group is what they've said. Now, when the report comes out, the takeaway, they can't control what people take away from it and what they spread because of it.
Are there guardrails here to ensure it doesn't get out of control, out of hand?
So far, we know that they have an audit department that's going to be putting out an RFP for a skilled auditor. We know that they're going to then release it to them, release the system to them. They're not going to edit the report once it's out. And then people, like I said, can take it. So I don't think if they hire the right people, it will be fair. We're going to see who they hire still.
All right, stay tuned for that. No shortage of election news in this off-year election. You reported this past week on Republican State Representative Alexander Colleton's bill that would kick 200,000 longtime registered voters off the rolls. What problem is Colleton trying to solve here?
This comes back to our problem tracking citizenship for long-time registrants, people who've lived in the state for more than 20 years. And he's trying to solve an issue right now where county recorders aren't sure what to do with these people that have never proved their citizenship. They've attested to it, but haven't provided documents. Now, he's proposing something entirely different, though, than what was initially expected when this was revealed this summer.
This isn't an off year in the sense that there are local elections. Will that whole snafu affect voters in local elections this year?
Sure, it could. Some counties are sending out notices to these longtime voters saying, we need your citizenship proof or you can't vote in these state and local elections. So we already have this coming up. There's a local election in Tucson. There's one coming up in Maricopa County soon.
So this matters right now, although it's still going through the legislature. There was also a federal appeals court ruling this past week that might have some bearing on what Alexander Colleton is trying to do.
Right, he's trying to reject them from the rolls entirely. And this court case addresses if you file your registration with the state form, should we reject you entirely or should we put you on the federal only list, voting in only federal elections? That case is still up in the air. It's probably going to go to the Supreme Court soon. So the fact that he's filing this bill now and trying to push it through now when that case is up in the air, we don't know how that's going to relate to the future court case.
So a lot of things up in the air.
Yes.
Wow. I want to point our viewers, direct them to your story on County Recorder Justin Heap's battle with the county board over who controls elections, everything up in the air there with elections approaching. You did a deep dive on it. You can check that out at votebeat.org. Jen Fifield, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.